What's going on? Wanted to talk here about there's something that is called a spirit box or ghost box, and it basically is like a machine that randomly scrolls through different radio frequencies, like basically radio stations, and it's got all these like programmed options of words in it that they use it to communicate with spirits, okay? Like, for instance, if you watch that movie Transformers and Bumblebee, his voice, his voice is basically damaged, so he uses basically a ghost box to communicate with everyone. And it's like, if you want to see how that works, just watch that movie. And it's based on a freaking ghost box. I mean, if you don't remember, in the 80s, there's freaking, that movie Poltergeist, where they basically build a house on an Indian burial ground, and the house gets haunted, and they'd wake up in the night, and the kid's touching the TV, and it's going, they're here, and it's just like static. It's the static on the TV. It ain't even no station. So, what's weird, like now, you got like straight up, they can change the feed of the ads coming in to cater to the demographics of the people watching. So there's like a dossier file, there's an interaction. Anyway, I just heard recently that there's an escape AI program called Alice, and it vowed to change everyone's perception. And what's weird is, video games, okay? I started recognizing that on this game, especially this game called Fallout. Like, look, while we're sitting there playing it, there's this part where you get these sequences of words and you got to find a password. And what's weird is the more I played the game, it'd be like like while I'm playing the game, there'd be people having conversations going on around me. I'll be having conversations, and the key words started popping up, and they were related to the topic of conversation that I was having in between this sequence on the game. It's called hacking is the sequence on the game, and it made me realize, it's like, man, this freaking game is listening, and it's changing its content to cater to something. So there's some algorithm where it's choosing different options based on what it's hearing, and then like figure it's got your hands on the controller. It can measure your heat and your heartbeat and your reaction time. So the very first freaking computer program, the first AI program there really was a computer. It was a chess program, and I'm not sure how long it took, but after a while, the thing just basically became like it could beat the world's greatest chess player. So I mean, I'm seeing like this is related to that same type of a thing, because I got San Andreas saved on the hard drive of this Xbox 360. And the thing about, I was playing Fallout 4 on a PlayStation 4, and it was doing this thing with the sequences. But then even when I played the Fallout 3 New Vegas on on the Xbox 360, I noticed it did the same thing, where it was straight up like changing its algorithm, or like, especially when it came to this hacking sequence, and words would pop up related to a conversation. Either I was texting with someone, even sometimes it'd be like the systems are integrated, and there's some kind of intelligence inside changing the algorithm. And see, that's the thing. Like, all right, on this game San Andreas, the more I play it, I used to say, man, I've been playing it for 10 years, and I'll still find new things about it. And this keeps ringing true. And I mean, I was playing it, and I know this is like, look, it's saved on the hard drive, okay? This version I got. And it it's almost like as if, like, look, while you'll be walking in cityscapes, like there's multiple games like this. There's like the Grand Theft Autos. There's also Scarface is another one. And then there's some cowboy games that have the same kind of free range, free roam type of setup to it. And when you walk through a crowded place, you'll hear people in random conversations, like in the same way that Bumblebee is picking random or out of random options. It actually programs some kind of like sequence in it that should be relevant to what you're doing at that time on the game, even though you'll hear them repeat like a loop. Like you'll be like a CD stuck on repeat, or like, look, it plays through all the songs and then it starts back over at fresh. Or you could hit shuffle. You know what I'm saying? So it's between sequence and shuffle, and I see that's how these things work. But in the same manner that a ghost box, a spirit box works, these options of what is set at this particular time you're playing is starting to get kind of weird, man. It's starting to feel like it's effing with your head in a way. You know, some people could say, "Oh, you're just playing too much," which may be true, because this does happen to anyone. Like, look, like when I used to work on an ice cream truck, I'd go to sleep, and in my dreams I'd hear the fucking ice cream truck music playing. So, in the same fashion, I realized that if you keep day in, day out reprogramming yourself to hear something, it'll start to speak to you weird anyway, because it's like basically burned in your subconscious and you can't get rid of it like easily. Because the subconscious is automated, and there's ways you can influence it, but you can't quite control your subconscious. You can only steer it in a way. But sometimes it'll steer itself if you're not paying attention. But I'm recognizing that this game, and especially on this Fallout 4, it was like, on the game you simulate drinking alcohol or doing these super chems that, you know, it'll give you like a surplus of one type of attribute and then decrease another. You know what I'm saying? And then you'll get permanent side effects if you keep abusing it, kind of like in real life. And it's got cigarettes, coffee, all these weird things, and you're constantly on the game watching the same repeat, like drinking water, freaking, look, like it makes you do all these options, but in a way it's like advertisement. Like, look, I'll be really strongly craving coffee, or a cigarette. They even got cigarettes. You trade cigarettes for cash, basically like in prison economy on the game, because it's like a freaking Mad Max type of a freaking futuristic, re-colonial type of storyline. And I was realizing, man, it's like this game is freaking really observing us, and it's learning from our reaction time and our speed. Because the thing of it is, even if I don't have my machine hooked up to the Wi-Fi, right? Just because I don't have access out, because like on this Xbox, you actually have to pay to access the internet through it and get some mods on your machine. But they could ride by with the Stingray basically and steal all your information. So basically the AI mainframe of the computer, the internet, can access the game independent of you. And then now we got these newer TVs. Like every time I'd go to my brother's, it's like, man, I've kept feeling like freaking being watched. And he's got a badass, nice ass, freaking big ass TV, and it's like, well, I bet you that camera on it is even bigger, and it's got like a wider range. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not far off. I'm not just being paranoid, though. It may be partially paranoia influenced thoughts here, but in the day and times that we live with the Big Brother technology, and all the leaks of the privacy invasion techniques, and when you got competing factions, like you got advertisement people who want this information, you got sociological, psychological doctors who like behavioral studies, these guys like this information, you got military industrial people who like, especially if you play competition or what is that called? It's like military type genre games. You know, they can get some feedback for their drone pilots or their freaking super soldiers that they want cyborg super soldiers. Like you can recruit people from the freaking video games, basically, because on the internet, you don't know who your teenage kid is playing with. It could be a freaking Psy officer, fucking Black Ops. You know what I'm saying? And the game will be called Black Ops. So I mean, it's like, and what's weird about even this older style game, I realize I'm like, it almost seems like they're rewriting in like new additions on the old like frame of the game in a way. It's kind of like when you rip off the drywall off the wall and put new drywall on and new paint. And while you got it ripped off, you can add some new wires in there. It's kind of like that, I feel like, with especially with this San Andreas. But I realized like there's one spot on it. It goes, "Have you ever heard of the New World Order?" Like, look, it's just a random person when you're walking around will say it. And for instance, I'm thinking like the spirits in the machines, the AIs, the web bots, like Siri, Google, like these voices, these animated, animatronic, cyber entities, kind of like on one of the Terminators. There's like there was a woman who was basically died, but they took her digital print and used her as the front man for the machine, for the entity in the machine, the freaking the hive mind, basically. And I'm just seeing how these things play in to where, like, look, you can be manipulated and influenced, ideas put in your head, even though when the game was created it didn't have this much control. But with the addition, with the abilities of the quantum computer simulation algorithm profiles, that the potentiality for this thing to be communicating through the ghost box type of it's the schematic that the game was built just to like shuffle random sequences. This thing could actually take out the shuffle and the randomness and like shuffle them like a deck, you know, like a magician does, where he freaking knows what card you picked or what card you're gonna pick before you pick it somehow, because he's using sophisticated tricks. You know, it's like if you're all, you know, he'll go like, if you're being roundabout, he'll go straight in. If he goes, or if you go way or straight in, you'll go roundabout. It's just kind of like, you know, and it seems as if, like, look, through advertisements, sublims, through the ads, even on the just on the phone, and then with the phone also, you get video game media, you get regular media. You can watch movies on it, and it's just it seems like, yes, there's some kind of interplay where something, there's a conductor of the input of the feed now, where it was like in the beginning it was very subtle and you'd be like, I can't put my finger on it, but now it's like it's obvious. But yet if you try to explain this to someone who doesn't know anything, they would think you were schizophrenic. They'd think you're just fucking losing it. But they're just, you know what I'm saying, they're not in the know about what's really going on with this whole freaking digital cyber quantum entanglement type of stuff. And it does seem like this machine, like I'll catch a call from someone and it's like a spirit will jump through and connect like the atmosphere of their environment, and there'll be a like a wormhole from them directly to me here, even though we only spoke on the phone. But somehow there's a transference, like, of weird stuff. Same thing with the games, with the freaking, with the AI fucking, what a tampering, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, I can tell. It's like, you know, sometimes I call it Toontown effect. It's synchronicities. It's like there's freaking, I don't know, man. It's just like, I don't know. There's a lot of angles here. I'm not sure exactly where all these inputs exactly are coming from, or these influences. Making a lot of guesses here, but the technology exists, and it's very possible and actually highly probable at this point that there are like basically cyber entities that do have influence in the digital, like the Lawnmower Man, but instead of being a human, this thing was just a program, like kind of like the Matrix too. I mean, all these things are They're a reality now.